Most of the time, nature follows a rhythm. Rivers flow, forests grow, mountains stand still. But in some corners of the world, that rhythm collapses. The laws of physics seem to bend, science struggles to explain, and nature goes rogue. These are the places where nature broke the rules. The drowned forest of Lake Kindy. High in the mountains of southeastern Kazakhstan lies a place that looks like it belongs in another world. A lake so hauntingly beautiful, it feels like a dream frozen in time. It's called Lake Kindy, and beneath its turquoise waters sleeps an entire forest. More than 100 years ago, an earthquake shook this remote valley in the Tian Shan Mountains, triggering a massive landslide that blocked a mountain river. The trapped water slowly rose, submerging the pine forest that once stood proudly in the sunlight. But instead of decaying and vanishing, the trees remained, preserved, motionless, eternal. Today, the lake stretches for nearly 400 meters, its water glacially cold and impossibly clear. From the surface, pale trunks pierce the water like the masts of sunken ships, while beneath the surface, the trees remain eerily intact, branches, needles and all, suspended in a world of stillness. The freezing temperatures of the lake have kept them from rotting, turning the forest into a natural time capsule. It's as if the earthquake didn't just flood the valley, but froze a moment from history, trapping it forever under glass. Divers who descend into Lake Kindy describe it as otherworldly. Rays of sunlight filter through the turquoise water, illuminating the ghostly forest below. The trees rise from the lakebed, stretching toward a surface they can no longer reach. It feels like swimming through a forgotten memory, silent, surreal, and strangely peaceful. The site has earned it the name the Sunken Forest of Kazakhstan, a natural wonder where life and death seem to coexist. Locals tell stories that give the place an almost mystical presence. Some believe the lake is guarded by spirits, others say the trees themselves are alive in another realm, growing in the shadows of the water. Whatever the belief, there's no denying its eerie beauty. Lake Kindy is proof that even destruction can create something breathtaking, that from catastrophe, wonder can be born. More than a century later, the forest still stands beneath the cold water, untouched by time, undisturbed by decay. The trunks that break the surface serve as silent reminders of what lies below, a lost forest that refused to disappear. In a world where nature constantly changes and renews itself, Lake Kindy remains frozen between two worlds, a place both alive and dead, a haunting masterpiece where nature's tragedy became its art. The boiling river of the Amazon. Deep within the Peruvian Amazon lies a river that seems impossible, a place that defies logic, science, and even the basic rules of nature itself. It's called Shanai Timpishka, a name from the local Ashaninka language meaning boiled by the sun. Yet the sun has nothing to do with it. This is a river so hot that anything falling into it, a frog, a snake, even a careless bird, is cooked alive within seconds. Its waters reach temperatures close to 95 degrees Celsius, 203 degrees Fahrenheit, just shy of boiling, and for nearly 4 miles it flows through the rainforest, releasing plumes of steam that rise like spirits between the trees. What makes Shanai Timpishka truly terrifying is its location. There are no volcanoes anywhere nearby, no magma chambers beneath, and no geothermal vents known to exist in the region. It lies hundreds of kilometers from the nearest volcanic zone, yet behaves like it's sitting right on top of one. When geoscientist Andres Russo first heard about it from his grandmother's tales, he dismissed it as a myth. But when he finally trekked through the remote jungle to see it with his own eyes, he was met with a vision straight out of a fever dream, a river that boiled and steamed in the middle of the rainforest, surrounded by scalded earth and the sharp hiss of bubbling water. Russo's research would later reveal that the heat doesn't come from magma, but from an extraordinary geothermal system hidden beneath the surface. Rainwater seeps deep into the earth through fractures in the ground, travels for miles underground, and is heated by geothermal energy before re-emerging to the surface at near boiling temperatures. In theory, this kind of natural phenomenon shouldn't exist this far from volcanic activity. Yet here it is, a 4-mile-long stretch of impossibility, a hydrothermal system with no apparent source, operating in complete defiance of geological norms. To the Ashaninka people, however, The mystery needs no explanation. They've always believed the river is sacred, guarded by Yakumama, the mother of waters, a giant serpent spirit said to protect the jungle. To them, the river's power isn't a scientific anomaly, but a spiritual force. And standing beside it, surrounded by walls of mist and the smell of sulfur rising from the surface, it's easy to understand why. The ground trembles slightly underfoot, the air shimmers with heat, and the river itself seems alive, breathing, hissing, whispering ancient secrets in the language of steam. The boiling river of the Amazon remains one of Earth's most mysterious natural wonders, a place where modern science and ancient legend collide. It's a reminder that even in the 21st century, the planet still keeps its secrets well hidden. Chennai Timpishka is more than a river. It's proof that nature can still surprise us, still terrify us, and still break the very rules it once seemed to follow. The singing dunes. In certain deserts around the world, the sand itself seems alive. When the wind blows just right, or when someone slides down the slope, the dunes begin to hum. A deep, resonant drone echoes through the air, like the voice of the earth itself. These are the singing dunes, found in places like Kazakhstan's Altin Emel Desert, Mongolia's Kongorin Els, and California's Death Valley. The sound can last for minutes, with tones so loud they can be heard miles away. Scientists say it's caused by millions of grains of sand vibrating in unison as they shift. But why only certain dunes sing, and why each has its own distinct pitch, remains a mystery. To ancient travelers, the sound was supernatural, the whispers of spirits, or the growl of a sleeping giant beneath the desert. Even today, standing there as the dunes rumble and sing, it feels less like science and more like magic. The exploding lakes of Africa. In the highlands of Central Africa, surrounded by mountains and mist, there are lakes so calm and beautiful that they look like mirrors of heaven. But beneath their still, glassy surfaces lies something far more sinister, a hidden reservoir of gas waiting to kill. These are Lake Nyos in Cameroon and Lake Kivu, which straddles the border between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo. On the surface, they look like peaceful freshwater lakes. Beneath, they are time bombs, silent, invisible, and deadly. The most horrifying proof of this came on the night of August 21st, 1986, at Lake Nyos. Without warning, the lake erupted, not with lava or fire, but with a massive burst of carbon dioxide gas. The explosion released more than 80 million cubic meters of CO2 in just seconds, forming a rolling cloud that swept through the valleys below. Villages were swallowed whole by the invisible wave. People and animals dropped where they stood, their lungs filling with suffocating air. Over 1,700 people and 3,500 livestock died within minutes, their bodies showing no sign of struggle, as if death had simply fallen from the sky. The phenomenon is known as a limnic eruption, and only a few places on Earth are capable of producing it. In lakes like Nyos and Kivu, volcanic activity deep below the ground releases carbon dioxide, which dissolves into the cold, heavy water at the bottom. Over years, pressure builds, layer upon layer, until one small disturbance, perhaps a landslide or a change in temperature, triggers the deadly chain reaction. The trapped gases burst free, displacing oxygen and creating a toxic fog that can kill anything it touches. It's not fire or poison, just air turned against life itself. Scientists later discovered that Lake Kivu, a massive body of water nearly 2,000 times larger than Nyos, holds hundreds of cubic kilometers of methane and CO2 beneath its surface, enough to devastate millions if it ever exploded. The people living along its shores, in Rwanda and Congo, go about their lives every day, unaware that they live beside one of the world's greatest natural ticking bombs. Engineers have since tried to release the gases gradually, building special systems to prevent another catastrophe, but the balance remains fragile. One mistake, one natural shock, and the lake could once again turn lethal. The exploding lakes of Africa are haunting reminders of how deceptive nature can be. They look like places of peace, of reflection and calm, but inside them sleeps death, compressed, invisible, and patient. For most lakes, the danger is drowning. For these, it's breathing. In a single moment, they can turn the air itself into a weapon. a cruel twist of science and geology, and proof that even the calmest waters can hide unimaginable violence. The eternal flame beneath. Hidden beneath the tranquil hills of New South Wales burns one of the Earth's oldest and strangest fires. Mount Wingan, meaning fire in the local Aboriginal language, has been smouldering for around 6,000 years, long before the Egyptian pyramids were built. But this isn't a volcano. There's no molten rock, no lava rivers, no glowing crater. Instead, deep below the surface lies a massive coal seam, a natural vein of carbon-rich rock that caught fire thousands of years ago and never went out. Scientists believe it might have been ignited by a lightning strike or spontaneous combustion, setting off a slow, creeping blaze that moves underground at about 1 meter per year. From above, it's deceptively calm, rolling green hills and dry grasslands. But step closer, and the ground itself grows warm. Steam seeps from cracks in the soil. The air smells faintly of sulfur, and the earth trembles as if something alive is breathing below. For the indigenous Wanarua people, this mountain was sacred, a place where the spirits of ancestors lived in the fire beneath. To scientists, it's a reminder of Earth's unpredictable chemistry, a natural furnace that burns without fuel, without flame, and without pause. The oldest known fire in the world, quietly raging beneath our feet. When water defies gravity. In the remote North Atlantic, between Iceland and Scotland, lies a place where gravity itself seems to take a break. The Faroe Islands are home to one of the strangest spectacles on Earth, waterfalls that flow upward. When the fierce ocean winds whip through the cliffs, they hit the falling water with such force that the streams are blown backward, soaring skyward like liquid smoke. The result is a surreal illusion. Rivers that refuse to fall, waterfalls that rise. Standing at the edge of these cliffs, you can watch torrents of water suspended in mid-air, dancing in slow motion against the wind. It's nature caught in a moment of rebellion, proof that even the laws of physics can bend when the planet decides to play. In the Faroe Islands, the impossible isn't a fantasy. It's just another day on the edge of the world. The petrifying waters? In northern Tanzania, shimmering under the blazing African sun, lies one of the most hauntingly beautiful and lethal lakes on the planet. Lake Natron is a mirror of red and silver that seems almost otherworldly, but beneath its stunning surface hides a deadly secret. The lake's waters are so alkaline, so chemically caustic, that they can literally mummify any creature that dares to enter. Fed by mineral-rich hot springs and lacking any natural outlet, the lake's water evaporates faster than it's replenished, leaving behind an extreme concentration of salt and soda. Its pH can soar to 10.5, nearly as corrosive as household ammonia. The temperature can reach 60 degrees Celsius, and the water's chemistry is so harsh that it burns skin and eyes. When animals, particularly birds, accidentally land on its surface, they often die, their bodies preserved by the mineral deposits, turning them into eerie, stone-like figures. Despite this apparent hostility, life does exist here. Certain species of algae thrive in the briny depths, tinting the lake with surreal hues of red and orange. Millions of lesser flamingos come to breed along its shores, one of the only places on Earth safe enough for them, precisely because few other creatures can survive it. From afar, Lake Natron looks like a painting, shimmering red waters reflecting the sky. But up close, it feels like a warning, a place where beauty and death intertwine. It's a world that shouldn't exist, yet somehow does, a reminder that even the harshest corners of the planet can create their own strange perfection. The Crooked Forest, Poland. In a quiet corner near the town of Gryfino in western Poland stands one of Earth's strangest natural mysteries, the Crooked Forest, or Krzywy Las. At first glance, it looks like an optical illusion. About 400 pine trees stand here, each with a bizarre identical curve near the base, bending sharply to the north before growing perfectly straight again. These trees were planted around the 1930s, but the explanation for their peculiar shapes has been lost to time. Some theories suggest human intervention, that foresters intentionally manipulated the young saplings to create curved timber for shipbuilding or furniture. But then came World War II, and if there were records of such a project, they vanished along with much of the region's history. Others blame nature, perhaps a freak snowstorm that buried the young trees, forcing them to grow in curved patterns. Or maybe powerful winds twisted their trunks as they grew. A few even whisper about magnetic anomalies or gravitational distortions in the area, though there's no scientific proof of that. What makes it truly unsettling is the precision. Every tree curves at almost the same height, in the same direction, as if following invisible instructions. No other forest on Earth looks quite like it. Standing among the bent trunks, it feels as if you've stepped into a secret experiment, one where nature and mystery quietly coexist, refusing to reveal their shared secret. The Storm Maker. In southern Japan, across the bay from the city of Kagoshima, stands a volcano that looks like it was forged by the gods of chaos themselves. Sakurajima is one of the most active volcanoes on Earth, and one of the few that can summon lightning from its own fury. When it erupts, the sky doesn't just fill with ash and fire, it explodes with lightning. Forks of electricity tear through black clouds of smoke, turning the eruption into a storm born straight from the heart of the Earth. The science behind it is as fascinating as it is terrifying. Inside the plume, millions of ash particles collide at high speeds, generating static electricity through friction. The charge builds until the atmosphere can't contain it, releasing it in violent bursts of volcanic lightning. It's the same process that powers thunderstorms, only here the storm is made of molten rock and ash. To those who live nearby, Sakurajima is both a neighbor and a threat. It erupts almost daily, dusting the city with ash, shaking the ground, and painting the horizon in hues of fire. Yet despite its fury, people have built their lives in its shadow, watching as lightning dances within smoke like a living creature. For scientists, it's one of the most dramatic examples of how Earth's natural forces can merge, geology and weather colliding in a single explosive event. And for anyone who witnesses it, Sakurajima feels less like a mountain and more like a living god, one that commands both fire and lightning in a display of raw, unstoppable power. The hidden world beneath. On the island of Palawan in the Philippines, there's a river that vanishes into the earth and keeps going. Known as the Puerto Princesa Subterranean River, it's one of nature's most astonishing wonders. A river that flows directly under a mountain, winding through a maze of limestone caves before re-emerging into the sunlight miles away. To witness it is to step into another world, one where time, light, and life itself seem to flow differently. Stretching over 8 kilometers underground, the river carves through chambers vast enough to swallow cathedrals whole. Stalactites and stalagmites twist together like ancient sculptures, and the sound of dripping water echoes endlessly through the dark. Inside, an entire hidden ecosystem thrives. Bats, blind fish, insects, and bacteria that have adapted to total darkness, surviving on minerals and the faint traces of organic material carried by the current. Scientists still study its unique geology and biology, but to locals, this place has always felt sacred. Long before it became a UNESCO World Heritage Site, villagers believed the river was a gateway to the underworld, a realm where spirits flowed with the water itself. Today, boats glide silently through the tunnels, guided only by headlamps that reveal glimmers of stone and water. It's a reminder that the earth hides entire worlds beneath our feet, vast living landscapes that most of us will never see. The Puerto Princesa River isn't just a natural wonder. It's proof that sometimes the greatest mysteries don't lie beyond the stars, but deep within the planet we call home, the sky that never sleeps. In the northwestern corner of Venezuela, over the vast waters of Lake Maracaibo, the night sky is alive, literally. Nearly every evening, for up to 10 hours at a time, the horizon flashes with endless lightning. No thunder, no rain, just light. Pure electric fury that has burned for centuries. Known as Catatumbo lightning, it's the only place on Earth where a storm never truly ends. This natural phenomenon can produce over 1 million lightning bolts every year, sometimes as many as 250 strikes in a single hour. The flashes are so frequent and so bright that sailors once used them as a natural lighthouse, calling it the Beacon of Maracaibo. Even from hundreds of kilometers away, the sky glows with an eerie pulse, a heartbeat of electricity that refuses to fade. Scientists believe the storm's secret lies in its geography. Warm, humid air from the Caribbean collides with cold mountain winds from the Andes, creating perfect, endless instability in the atmosphere. Methane rising from the swampy basin below may further charge the air, turning the region into a colossal natural battery. Yet despite the science, there's something undeniably mystical about it. Locals say the lightning is the soul of the Catatumbo River, or the anger of the gods watching over the land. Standing beneath it, with the sky cracking open again and again, you can almost believe it. The eternal storm of Venezuela isn't just weather, it's a phenomenon that defies rhythm, reason, and rest. A storm that has burned longer than empires, flashing across the centuries as Earth's own electric signature written into the night, the Forest of Stone. In the remote heart of western Madagascar lies a landscape that looks like it belongs to another planet, a forest where trees are made of stone and the ground itself could tear through your skin. This is Chingue de Bemaraha, a sprawling labyrinth of jagged limestone spikes so sharp and so vast that locals call it the place where one cannot walk barefoot. Over millions of years, rain and groundwater carved into the island's ancient limestone bedrock, sculpting it into a maze of razor-edged towers, deep fissures, and narrow canyons. From above, it looks like a petrified ocean, grey waves frozen in time. But up close, it's a vertical wilderness. Some pinnacles rise more than 70 meters high, forming cliffs and corridors so narrow that even light struggles to slip through. Despite its hostile surface, life has found a way. Lemurs leap between the stone towers with effortless grace, rare birds nest in the crevices, and hardy plants cling to the rock faces, drawing what little moisture they can from the air. The Chingue's inaccessibility has kept it untouched for millennia, preserving species found nowhere else on Earth. Walking through it feels like exploring an alien world, silent, sharp, and surreal. Every step is a reminder of how time, water, and persistence can transform the ordinary into the extraordinary. The stone forest of Madagascar isn't just a geological wonder, it's nature's slow masterpiece, carved by erosion into one of the most dangerous and breathtaking places on the planet. The ocean that falls. Just off the southwestern coast of Mauritius, near the Le Morne-Brabant Peninsula, the Indian Ocean appears to do the impossible. It falls. From above, the turquoise waters suddenly darken, swirling downward as if the sea itself is being sucked into a massive hole. It looks like the edge of the world, an underwater cascade plunging into the depths. But this breathtaking sight isn't a true waterfall. It's one of nature's most stunning illusions. The illusion is created by sand and silt from the island's coastal shelf being swept off by strong ocean currents. As the lighter particles flow over the steep drop-off of the seafloor, they create a gradient of color that mimics the look of a powerful waterfall plunging into an abyss. From a plane or drone, the effect is mesmerizing. A living painting of turquoise, emerald, and deep blue, giving the illusion of motion even in stillness. Geologically, it's the edge of an ancient volcanic plateau, the remains of the island's fiery birth millions of years ago. The seafloor here drops dramatically, from shallow lagoons just a few meters deep to ocean depths plunging thousands of feet below. It's a place where the Earth's violent past meets its serene present, where color and current combine to play tricks on human perception. Seen from the sky, the underwater waterfall of Mauritius feels like a portal, as if the ocean is folding in on itself. It's not a glitch in nature's design, but a masterpiece of perspective, proof that the planet can still surprise us with illusions grander than any artist could ever create. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this dive into Earth's strangest wonders, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Mind Boggler for more mysteries that science still can't explain.